why did y'all let me go through with this? Okay. Again, it's not that bad. Like, it could always be worse. He's a good writer. I looked him up and he's got plenty of other books. But anyway, this is the second book in the Gull and Greensleeves trilogy. Yeah, there's a trilogy within the book. The previous one, The Whispering Woods, led up to this one, which is Shattered Chains. And I didn't read the first ones or whatever. I didn't read Arena or any of that. I just went straight to Whispering Woods. And I didn't think it would be a big deal, but there is a strange feeling of missing out. They went on a big tangent about stuff that happens in the past and that didn't happen in any one of these books. So I assume happened in Arena, and they just quickly recapped it for us. I mean, it's not really that important. It's just some of the characters in the book come from there. But let's just say I get the gist. So Gull is still our woodcutter 80s coal guy.
As a soldier, he rocks.
But in this one, he actually takes a step back, and we're introduced to Garth's wife. What's her name again? Noreen. Her name is Noreen. And yeah, there might be some spoilers and all this I'm going through, so if you hadn't read it, oh well. I'm picking this apart piece by piece. So it starts with Garth, okay? He's like this family man, and he owns his own vineyard. But he's having trouble at home because he's been obsessed with magic ever since he got the ability to planeswalk. And we're back to that common problem that we have with wizardry, in that once you get a taste of the power, it kind of starts to take you over and you just want more and more and more. So Garth's wife gets onto him about how he's neglecting his duties as a father, as a husband. And he's like tired of the nagging, but she has a point. All he does is stand out there and stare out into the distance while she's in there taking care of their son. And then randomly, he just feels compelled to leave again for like weeks at a time, and nobody knows why. He just wants to go. And she's had enough of it. She threatens to leave with her child if he keeps doing this, you know, but he just calls her bluff, and it's just like, we'll talk about it, but he don't want to talk about it right now. So he just straight up leaves. And then like immediately after he leaves, she and the baby are attacked. Like, what's the timing on that? What a coincidence, am I right? Apparently she's wanted back in her hometown of Benalia on some BS charge. And she's gotten too soft because she used to be a warrior, but now she's focused mostly on motherhood. And she's always talking about how her body's changed and, you know, the natural changes to have a baby. Don't ask me. So when she gets back, they have a trial. I say trial, but it's not a trial. They basically have her captive and threaten to take her son away unless she goes and assassinates Gull and Greensleeves for them. They don't really say why they want them dead. We just assume that they're scared of Greensleeves and they're coming up with some BS in order to make her kill them. And you might be wondering, like, okay, it sounds like plot device, but why wouldn't they rationally just kill her or put her in jail? Because they want to use her. She's useful, but there's also some kind of law they have where instead of putting criminals in jail to just let them sit there, they actually fit them up and kind of throw them into their military as cannon fodder. And I'm kind of mind blown by this. It raises a philosophical question. Like, what if we did that? You know, there are some people who complain about like, oh yeah, we pay for criminals and they have TVs in their cells and, you know, free rent and all this. So would those people kind of go for the put them into your army resolution? Do they even have enough discipline for something like that? It's just a question for all you sages out there. And of course, we'd be remiss without all the naked scenes. They did tone it down in this one. And it surprised me because for its timing, we have a female lead who's strong. So we have a lot more wizards that show up in this one too. There's Carly, the wizard from the first book. Guyapi, who works for Benalia. There's one guy they fight in the Waste. I don't remember his name, but he becomes like it's a big fight scene. Tozer gets a name drop, and of course there's still Greensleeves and Lily, and there's Cheney. So yeah, we have a lot more wizards in this one. Anyway, they tell her to assassinate them or her son gets it. That's pretty understandable, right? And they tell her it doesn't even matter what way she does it. She can infiltrate, she can kill them directly, as long as she does it by the next moon cycle. Yeah, because Benaya, they focus everything on like the moon. So Guyapi teleports to the area she needs to be, and coincidentally, it's in the middle of an attack. Gull's army is attacking another wizard, or in a battle, so to say. Because they made it their life mission. They're going to go around, take out every wizard one by one. They even call it a crusade. But they're completely disorganized, like no more than a group of bandits. And this is where my issue starts. Because immediately as she gets there, she looks around to find her target, okay? And Gull is already having trouble with his target, his fight. Greensleeves is separated and stuck in a tent, like, surrounded, about to die on her side. And she rescues Gull, like, immediately, okay? And as you could see where I'm going with this, she ends up liking him too much to actually kill them. You know, that she figures out there are too much of good people to kill. But she had this whole time, okay, she let it drag out so much to let herself get attached to them, making it harder. Like, logically, okay, why would you not just take advantage of the chaos of battle and kill him while he's not paying attention? And then kill Greensleeves while she's in trouble already? Then it would have been over. You would have had your son back. She didn't know them yet, and she really cares about her son. Everything points to her character being the opposite. She's straightforward, she's feisty, she's a warrior. It just didn't make sense to me. Like, the whole time I'm reading, I'm just thinking that all this could have been prevented if she just straight up killed him when she arrived on the scene. So either way, she starts liking him, and she decides she wants to help him out as much as she can. She has actual military experience. And then there's a huge montage of her whipping them into shape. And it's actually one of the most boring parts of the book. Like, I just wanted to keep flipping and get it over with already. Gull admits that he's only a woodcutter and he doesn't know anything about warfare. So he actually steps down as commander and gives the position to her. And then, like, afterwards, he starts feeling like left out, or he starts being confused about his own place in the army because now he doesn't know where he actually belongs. And I'm kind of thinking the same thing. So Noreen is torn. She always thinks about her son and she wants to save him, but she also wants to help the greater good. But she keeps this all to herself. That's what I don't understand. Like, as soon as you get there and you decide that you're not going to kill them, and logically, again, I would say, hey, I've been sent to kill you, and I changed my mind, but they have my son. Can you help me? And I bet you they would help. So then one day, another part of the book I don't like, Greensleeves just wakes up and feels compelled to go off through the forest on her own. And then there's this long journey of them getting up and following her all across the woods in the mountains and far away, like just following her to find her. The time skips are crazy. Like, they don't even know. Like, sometimes it's been a few days, sometimes it's been weeks, in the spans of what feels like days, and only to find out that this random druid, Cheney, has called her to her. Why? That's so random. It's possible that Cheney felt her in the area, but it's never explained. So she starts teaching Greensleeves in her own montage, all about taking better command of her powers and getting connected to nature. But Greensleeves, slowly starts turning into a badass. Not only that, but she's like jumped ahead through time and she's actually matured. Like, even her body has grown older by a few years, I think, in the span of a couple of days. There's a lot going on to this book, and I'm going to tell it to you. So it turns out that huge mana vault that everyone wanted is actually a mind control device. Yeah, but it's only used on wizards. Isn't that convenient? They play around for a little while, and then, they're all excited that they have this new toy to use in their war against wizards. The mood of reading this, it goes up and down for me. I'm gonna do a chart. But Noreen starts being like super dramatic. She falls for Gull at some point, despite having a husband. And she calls it a moment of weakness. Okay. And he doesn't even find out she has a husband until the end, when he actually shows up. And he's still working on his feelings towards Lily, who can see him prancing around with some other girl in the meantime. Then why are you sleeping with someone else? It's like they just wanted to insert, like, random sex scene. No pun intended. I am calm. And naturally, they want to help her. But their siblings, their priorities are crossed. So one day, they run across a random fight in the Badlands, and they want to test the brain out on this guy. They capture him, but their mistake is they never kill the wizards they capture. Like, what did you think was going to happen? What is their plan? Like, what does defeat the wizards mean? You can't just defeat them KO in submission and just call it a day. They're always going to be there. They're going to recover eventually and come back. You have to kill them. So the wizard, go figure, steals the brain and hightails it to another plane with it. I mean, he's like, yeet at it. So Gull wants to go help save Noreen's kid. Greensleeves wants to go after the brain. So they decide to split up. And their power should be way too low to do this. Since Lily is still even trying to master her most basic power of flying, but Chaney like mocking them with these special artifacts that sort of amplifies their ability to do stuff. And what is interesting is that Greensleeves has been nervous to use magic because she's afraid that the madness of it will eventually revert her into being simple-minded. And I think that's a good way to describe the feeling of trauma, and it makes her more relatable to Garth. But eventually she finds confidence in herself and she ends up saving the day. And it makes you wonder what all these wizards could do if they would focus all their powers on helping and being good for people instead of just being selfish. Anyway, my favorite part is actually when they get to Benaya, because there's a lot of action that starts taking place. After a horrible graphic torture scene, but the action is good. I actually felt some tension for the characters when they were in danger, because they were way out of their league. Greensleeves has more trouble teleporting. It's kind of cool that we get to see a bunch of planes as they go through them one at a time on their way to find the brain. She just sort of follows an instinct for it. Eventually they reach Phyrexia, which is a cool plane like where artifacts go to die. And they split up for nothing because eventually they just meet up again. And I'm suspicious that they only split up was because they just didn't want to write that many people. You'd have to sit there and write a reaction for every single person every time something happened. Greensleeves kind of goes Nova on the wizards, and it's awesome. And towards the end, she thinks of home and just zaps them back to the Whispering Woods. So Garth shows up looking for his wife. He feels bad about his husband's status, and he promises to even give up wizardry. He gets into it with Goldo, because he's all like, who are you messing with my wife? But eventually Noreen just goes home with him, and you know, to go live their life. It was kind of weird is that like they introduced her like a main character, but then she left by the end of the book. So it kind of feels like an episode of a TV series, where like one, you know, it's about one character or another. And get this though, the wizards they capture, they just make them promise to be good before they let them go. And that's it. They say, oh, we're going to check up on you every now and then. But they let them go. Why? I do like how it ended though, with the suspense of an old enemy coming back. But Greensleeves planeswalks way too easy, because I thought it was meant to be more of a powerful special kind of magic. But no. So that's basically where it ends, on a big old cliffhanger about the enemy coming back. And I mean, I don't think it got any worse. I mean, I don't think it got any better, but it didn't get worse, which is good, I think. Just think of how many books are left to go.